The third key, live for now. The principle of presence. The most important moment of your life is this one. Not yesterday or some golden heyday from your past. Not tomorrow or some other time in the future when you hope to achieve your goals. The only moment that truly counts is the one you are living right now. Being able to learn from the past is important. Your past can hold so many answers about who you are and why you think, feel, or behave the way you do. Understanding your past experiences can help you to move forward in life, and armed with the lessons you have learned, you can be more confident in your choices, stronger in your decisions, and wiser about the path you are on. Accept the past, dream of the future, but live in the moment. A short visit to the past can be helpful when you're feeling stuck or looking for answers. But if you linger in the past, it will only hold you back and prevent you from getting the most out of life. We all know someone who constantly complains about things that happened last week, last month, or even last year. Perhaps you've been that person. The past is in the past, and unless you own a time machine, there is nothing you can do to change it. So don't waste your energy complaining about it. Accept the past for what it is, not what it could have been or what you wish it was, but simply what it is. Once you can leave the past where it firmly belongs, you can focus your energy towards getting the life you do want to be living and the person you want to become. Living in the past is a direct barrier to happiness, and one of the most effective ways you can remove this barrier is by recognizing that nobody from your past is responsible for your future. I often hear adults blaming their parents for who they are or how their life has turned out. For most people, the past contains a series of ups and downs, but even if your childhood really was truly horrible, it doesn't have to define who you are today. The same can be said if you have had a bad relationship where your trust was abused, or worse, you were. The best thing about the past is that it is where it should stay, and regardless of what it was like, you don't have to be a prisoner to it in your future. Learning from the past can help you move forward. Lingering in the past will only hold you back. For some people, acting on this recognition is as simple as making the decision to let it go. For others, it may be more complicated and require the support of an expert, a counselor, or psychologist. If you think this might apply to you, act now and get the support you need to move on from your past and get on with your life. Nobody from your past should be held responsible for your future. The only person accountable for your future is you. Rebecca had a whole list of goals she wanted to achieve, covering a wide range of topics including traveling, buying a house, and moving up the ladder at work. One of the goals on her list was to lose weight. Although Rebecca was a vibrant and energetic person, she was also seriously overweight. So much so that her weight was beginning to have an impact on her health and get in the way of some of her other goals. After a few weeks of focusing on some of her other goals, Rebecca and I began to talk about her weight and how she wanted to return to a healthy BMI. I asked Rebecca if she had any success with dieting or changing her eating habits in the past, as I wanted to understand a little more about the history of her weight problem and see if there was anything that had supported her healthy eating habits in the past that she could apply this time around. Rather than explain her success or lack of it in the past, Rebecca immediately launched into a passionate explanation of why she was overweight. In her mind, her trouble with her weight had begun in her teens. While studying for her university entrance exams, Rebecca had fallen into the habit of snacking on junk food and had put on a few kilograms. When Rebecca's mother noticed her weight gain, she had said something along the lines of, "You had better do something about that. Losing weight only gets harder as you get older, and I don't want you to be fat." With the wisdom of hindsight, I hope Rebecca's mother would agree that this wasn't the most sensitive or supportive thing to say to a teenage girl. I'd like to give her the benefit of the doubt and assume her heart was in the right place, but regardless of what she was thinking, I'm sure it wasn't her intention that her daughter would spend the best part of the next 20 years in a cycle of binge eating that would take her from being a few kilos heavier than her ideal weight to becoming obese. The more I probed Rebecca about her experiences, the more certain she became that all of her weight troubles had begun with this one comment from her mother. Perhaps at the time this comment had triggered a series of responses, but given that these comments had been made more than half her life ago, the real question was how much longer was Rebecca going to allow her mother's words to get in the way of a healthy, happy future? The easiest way to determine if your past is getting in the way of your future is to examine the level of emotional energy you experience when you think about that time in your life. While you may remember feeling sad, hurt, angry, or disappointed, if you are still actively experiencing those emotions, chances are they are still holding you back and preventing you from moving forward in your life. Rebecca hadn't consciously realized how much blame she had been attributing this comment from the past, and she had to acknowledge that she was the only one who was responsible for her food and exercise choices on a day to day basis. This realization allowed Rebecca to make a complete shift in the way she approached her diet and exercise goals. They were still a challenge, but they were now a challenge that she realized she alone had the power to meet. Slowly but surely, Rebecca began to shed her excess weight, as well as the burden of being angry with her mother for all this time. The Year of Magical Thinking, a memoir by Joan Didion, opens with the lines, "Life changes fast. Life changes in an instant." When she was writing of the sudden death of her husband, these lines are an important reminder to us all. Things can change suddenly, and the life you have taken for granted could change in such a fundamental way that it is no longer recognizable to you. What a waste if you weren't even enjoying it. I think of it as the hit by a bus test. If my life ended suddenly, would I be able to say I had been enjoying myself until that point? This isn't a question of whether or not my life was perfect, or if I had done everything I wanted to do, and everywhere I wanted to go, or bought everything I wanted to buy. It is simply a question of whether if my life or quality of life were to end, I would feel content, fulfilled, happy with the life that I had been living up until that point. It is important to try and find the joy in each and every day. It might not be immediately obvious, but if you start each day reminding yourself how good it is to be alive, finding the reasons why this is true will start to come naturally to you. Being confident you're happy in this moment is a good test of presence. Another is whether you can actually sit still and be present. Look for the joy in each and every day. Just because it isn't immediately obvious, that doesn't mean it's not there. As a child, if you were anything like me, you and your classmates were probably regularly told by your teachers to sit still and pay attention. Life is so exciting when you are a child, and there are so many different things that capture your attention, which makes this a real challenge. As adults, the information age we live in today makes sitting still and being present more of a challenge than ever. There are emails to read, tweets to send, pages to update, videos to watch, blogs to read, and they are all available to you all of the time. If that wasn't distracting enough, we are now all carrying around devices in our pockets or handbags that, that make this information overload a 24/7 problem, not just something to worry about during working hours. There are numerous strategies for managing this madness, but unless you disengage from the information available to you at least some of the time, it is very hard to relax and enjoy the moment. Cast your mind back 20 years. Can you imagine watching two people sitting at the same table in a cafe, spending their time texting on their phone rather than speaking to each other? It wasn't that long ago that nobody but the CEO was expected to catch up with their work correspondence at breakfast, in the evening, or any time outside 9 to 5. News broadcasts were in the evening, and if you missed one, you could catch up the following morning. Now, perhaps I'm really showing my age, but was it really that long ago that the focus of family meal times was in conversation with each other? The only potential interruption was the telephone. But given that most people thought it was rude to call during dinner time, interruptions were unlikely. It's hard to be present when your attention is suffering information overload. Switch off and just sit still. Interruptions seem to be a constant feature in Nick's life, and at the end of each day, he found himself feeling guilty that he hadn't spent any quality time with his 12-year-old son. When I asked Nick about meal times, he said that while he and his son often had breakfast at the same time, they didn't use this time to chat. Like many people, Nick was too busy checking his emails, texting the office, and catching up with the news on his laptop. He was trying to keep on top of so many things that he wasn't present to his son at all. These challenges of modern life are unlikely to go away, so it is up to you to decide how to manage them. I suggested that if Nick wanted to spend a little more quality time with his son, he should keep his phone, Blackberry, and laptop away from the breakfast table and use that time to chat with his son. It is a sad sign of the times that this idea seems revolutionary. To me, it's simple. Be there when you're there. I was recently asked at a workshop I was running how I was able to manage all the different roles in my life. Coaching my clients, training other coaches, writing books, and speaking at conferences, all the while being a good wife and caring and supportive mother. Didn't I feel guilty and torn all the time? The truth is, I don't. I juggle all these roles by not juggling them at all. I always aim to make whatever role I am called to at the time the only role I am playing. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not perfect. And of course, I slip up sometimes. But my intention is to always give 100% of my attention to the role I am in at that time. Be there when you are there. Don't try to juggle all the roles in your life. Focus on the role you are playing and do it to the best of your ability. If I am with my daughter, I avoid taking work calls or replying to emails, and if I'm at work, I give my clients all of my attention without worrying about whether or not my daughter liked what she had for lunch. When I am writing, I clear my diary, and if I am on holiday, the sign says, "Do not disturb." It's not about being perfect, it's about being the best you can be, and one of the easiest ways you can offer the people in your life the best version of you is to be present to them when you are with them. Stop trying to type an email while talking on the phone.